Welcome back to Beyond the Screen, and today we're breaking down the top 10 concerts worse than Travis Scott's Astroworld. Number 10, Taylor Swift. For all the Swifties out there, this one's for you. Taylor's Nashville show, the third spot on her The Eras tour, made headlines this week after many concert-goers reported delays caused by weather. Any fans with floor or lower bowl seats were forced to take shelter under the arena's bleachers, where the concession stands were located, and shelter in place for 3 hours due to heavy rain hitting the open ceiling arena. At first, this wasn't so bad, but the crowd began to grow and so did the anxiety. Eventually, people were standing shoulder to shoulder with absolutely nowhere to go. Many fans took to social media to compare the event to Astroworld's dangerous crowd conditions. The situation caused several panic attacks, with some fans even passing out from the sheer anxiety and fear of the situation. Eventually, the weather passed and the concert went on as planned, but many fans took that opportunity to leave the building, claiming that the event had ruined the night. Not to mention, there were fears of another rain incident taking place, which would have caused the crowd to return to the under bleachers. While those who left probably missed a solid vocal performance, the concert as a whole was soaked with disappointment. Number 9, Harry Styles. Harry Styles had to momentarily shut down a recent concert in Colombia after multiple fans fainted during a crowd surge. Last Sunday, Styles was performing in Bogota, Colombian's Coliseo Live when fans began rushing the stage. Anyone standing in the front row was reportedly crushed up against the handrails and began calling out to Harry for help and were unable to breathe. Styles abruptly stopped the show and told people to slowly walk back while reminding them that the show can only be good if it's safe for everyone around them. While the crowd did comply and began moving back slowly to allow more room for the front row to breathe, a reported 8 people fainted during the surge and were pulled from the crowd. The current condition of these people is unknown, but we can't imagine that the rest of the show was very entertaining following the sight of 8 people being dragged out into an ambulance. Number 8, Kehlani. Kehlani is an American singer, songwriter, and dancer, originally from Oakland, California. In 2014, Kehlani released their first commercial mixtape, Cloud 19, and their follow-up album, You Should Be Here, released the following year, debuting at number 5 on the R&B hip-hop chart. At a recent show in Philadelphia's Mann Center, Kehlani's concert was cut short when the artist was made aware of several fans fainting in the audience. They announced to the audience that the heat combined with the massive number of fans made them feel that everyone in the building was at risk of a heat stroke or possibly another stage rushing situation like Astroworld. The artists shared their love for the city, expressing how they simply just didn't have any words to express how disappointed and heartbroken they are. The following day, Kehlani posted several Instagram stories following the show and was quoted saying, "Philly, thanks for an incredible evening. I care about you guys more than anything and I put you before anything else. Thank you so much to the venue and staff for your diligence, swift care, for everyone in my audience, outstanding job. I cannot wait to come back to you, Philadelphia. Cannot stress how much I love you and how important you are to me. Seeing you all on tour for the first time in so many years has really reminded me why I do it. I hope you know how deep my love runs. Thank you for everything." A well-typed apology for sure, but if you buy a ticket to a concert in the summer, you better be ready for that heat. Hopefully their next show was in the winter. Number 7, Guns N' Roses featuring Metallica. In 1992, the greatest heavy metal concert of all time hit Montreal, or that's how it was supposed to go anyway. The build-up to this concert was huge, as Metallica and Guns N' Roses are 2 legendary rock bands. Seeing them live together on stage should have gone down in rock history. Unfortunately, this concert was cursed from the get-go. During one of the first Metallica songs, guitarist and singer James Hetfield was standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. He missed a physical cue, which resulted in him standing directly next to a pyrotechnic explosion. As the effect went off, the guitar immediately became out of tune as the strings were being melted, and James was rushed off stage. The flames had melted the strings on the guitar and left James with second-degree burns on his arms. Of course, the band was forced to end their set early and left the stage, which was bad enough. But then, Guns N' Roses took 2.5 hours to show up and perform to an already annoyed audience. The cherry on top, Axl Rose, the singer, had famously been having vocal problems on tour that year, and he would take multiple breaks during shows to sit backstage and rest his voice. Guns N' Roses, for some reason, decided to leave after only 45 minutes of stage time, and Montreal was quick to show just how angry Canadians can be, as they took to the city streets and began rioting. Fans were seen flipping over cop cars, breaking store windows, and setting numerous amounts of fires across the city. Multiple altercations took place with Montreal Police Department, but the crowd was eventually subdued. Good job, Montreal. Number 6, Woodstock 99. In 1999, a music festival took place between July 22nd and July 25th. The concert was created as an attempt to emulate the original Woodstock Festival in 1969. Like previous festivals of the same name, it was held in upstate New York, only this time at Griffiths Air Force Base, which roughly sits about 100 miles away from the original Woodstock site. Over the 4-day event, 220,000 people were in attendance. But for some reason though, the energy around this concert was nothing like the hippy-dippy style of the 60s. From day one, fans were noticeably aggressive towards each other, with many altercations and physical disputes taking place over the event. This might have something to do with the concert's lineup. You see, the event was noticeably filled with either hardcore rap artists or rock metal bands. The lineup included groups like Korn, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fatboy Slim, and the ones that kicked the hornet's nest, Limp Bizkit. While no one band is really to blame for the disastrous event that happened, it was when Limp Bizkit took the stage that fans finally snapped. Fred Durst, the lead singer, made a horrible decision when he grabbed that microphone and told the audience to start breaking stuff. While he may have just been setting up for the band to play their famous song, Break Stuff, fans were very quickly riled up, so much so that they began climbing equipment and breaking as many things as possible, even tearing down a sound booth and letting Durst crowd surf on top of them. The already disastrous event became even more chaotic following this event, as the night ended with riots and a massive fire. Number 5. Backstreet Boys. Backstreet's back alright, as the crew has been making their way across the globe as part of their DNA World Tour. Recently, a TikTok user posted a clip from one of the group's concerts in Noblesville, Indiana. In the clip, the Backstreet Boys are seen pausing the concert momentarily after a fan in the front row appeared to be having some kind of a medical condition or emergency. The moment came towards the end of the show as they were performing the song That's the Way I Like It when AJ McLean spotted the situation. The concert was paused for a few minutes as the boys called EMTs over to assist the woman. Seeing the Backstreet Boys in a serious setting though must have been pretty jarring for longtime fans of the boy band, mainly known for their carefree on-stage presence. Can't imagine that sullied the night, but it probably did. Number 3. Fyre Festival. Con artist, trash bag, and liar. Those are the words used to describe a man named Billy McFarlane, who, with the help of rapper Ja Rule, co-founded the now infamous Fyre Festival, a luxury music festival that was supposed to take place on a former kingpin's private island in the Bahamas. McFarlane was promising concertgoers the opportunity to party with models and celebrities while staying in luxurious villas along the beach with private chefs and music bumping 24/7. It almost sounds too good to be true. That's because it totally was. It was later revealed that Billy had been coming up with get-rich-quick schemes the entire time he was planning the festival. He sold hundreds of packages for luxury tents, cottages, and yachts that just didn't exist. On top of lying to guests about the accommodations, in the 2 weeks prior to the event, McFarlane announced to ticket holders that the event would be cashless and each person would be given a special RFID bracelet preloaded with funds, which had already been warned against by the island locals as the Wi-Fi connection in the Bahamas was basically non-existent. So therefore, the bracelets would be useless. However, this announcement led to some people loading as much as $500,000 on their cards that they never got to see. Once ticket holders arrived on the island, they were very quickly faced with the reality that they were not staying in luxury villas and instead would be sleeping in emergency tents left over from hurricanes on the island. Oh, and the 5-star meals that they were promised ended up being the equivalent of a hospital cafeteria lunch. Literally after one night of staying in tents, the event had become such a disaster that the artists booked to perform there, like Blink-182 and Major Lazer, pulled out, and it was ultimately decided that the event should be cancelled entirely. This left hundreds of people stranded on the island for multiple days, as anyone landing in the Bahamas on the morning of the cancellation had booked return flights for later in the week. And unfortunately, any planes leaving before that were already booked solid, due to the concert taking place on the same weekend as the annual Exuma Regatta. The photos from Fyre show nothing but panic and chaos, and bags were stolen and tents were ransacked. Following the event, McFarlane was arrested and found to have been involved with wire fraud and misuse of company funds. So probably won't see a Fyre Festival Part 2 anytime soon. Number 2. Smash Mouth. The band most known for their song All Star, featured in the opening moments in the classic animated comedy Shrek. In 2015, the group were performing at a food festival called The Taste for Collins in Fort Collins, Colorado. Some vendors at the festival were handing out free loaves of bread, not slices, like entire loaves. This meant that there were a lot of people sipping the happy juice, and they were armed with bricks of gluten. During the band's set, many fans were seen throwing bread at both the stage and just up into the air. Unfortunately, a few of those pieces hit frontman Steve Harwell. In footage taken from the event, you can see Harwell standing at the front of the stage as the band slowly begins to play All Star behind him. Steve is backed by a bass line as he tells the audience to throw one more thing at him to see what happens. Well, he said the magic words and another slice of bread was thrown. Steve had to be held back by security guards as he wasn't playing around. Thankfully, this was basically at the end of the concert, and Harwell was escorted off stage before the encore could even be thought of. Number 1. Woodstock 1969. Taking our top spot on this list is the one that started it all. In 1969, a festival was organized by a group of friends who wanted to bring the world together for 3 days of music, food, and good times. The festival hosted over 400,000 patrons, an astonishing number. You must think these guys made millions, right? Well, actually, the crew were hit with a delay throughout the production, causing them to decide days before the event if they wanted to allot their time to finish building the stage or finish installing the fences and barriers. And as always, the music prevailed, and the team started building the stage. It was finished just in time for day 1 on August 15th. Fans flocked from hundreds of miles away to attend the event, but many of them had no intention of purchasing tickets. Fans stomped over what little gates they did have set up, and the psychedelic chaos began. Over the course of those 3 days, there were dozens and dozens of instances reported to event medics of heat strokes, substance overusages, physical altercations, and an even longer list of things that will get this video taken off YouTube. If you've seen the popular documentary about the concert, you may have been distracted by all of the smiling faces and exposed individuals down by the lake, when the reality of the situation was everybody was dehydrated, covered in mud, and in need of some shade. And there you go, guys. Those are the worst concerts that beat Astroworld as the all-time worst. Which ones do you think were worse, and which ones did we miss? Please leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time.